Machinal is an expressionistic play written in 1928 by a woman named Sophie Treadwell. It is based on the actual murder case of a woman named Ruth Snyder, who with her lover Jed Gray killed her husband. And the interesting thing about it is Sophie Treadwell was very much a feminist and a feminist of the day, I suppose, right after women's suffrage, and men were seeing women as kind of the adversary. And it's interesting because you have a woman who feels trapped in this play, who feels trapped by the societal roles that she needs to play, or feels like she needs to, but she doesn't want that. She's trapped completely, so she finds her out, if you will, in the arms of another man, and she kills him. And that's it. And then she gets put on trial. And the interesting thing about the play is Sophie Treadwell took it not so much as a murder, but as the idea of a woman not fitting in how she was supposed to be seen. She became kind of a carnival piece. She was mocked, and Jed Gray, yes, he was executed also, but he was treated fairly, and she was treated as, it became more of a us against them type thing. Not so much that she did this horrible act, but because she was a woman that had the nerve to do something that a man would do. And an interesting thing that I found out about this is one of the major sticking points that men had was if someone as just normal as Ruth Snyder would do this, what would keep my wife from doing it? When the scene first, or the play first opens, we have some office girls who have this kind of weird, fantastic looking face frozen, and they're doing these mechanical office-like movements in lockstep. As a matter of fact, during rehearsals, we would have a drumstick and beat out the time to get this down. So the idea of the rhythms, of the mechanics of these things, and they will immediately see the dialogue that is many times one word repetition, just right after another, right after another. So you're sucked into that world immediately. It's not anything, nothing is realism. I love realism too, but it's not like when we did An Our Town. Okay, we did that. You know, a great play, a wonderful play, but it's very straightforward. It tells a story, and this tells a story too, but it's the style itself. You have to be an active audience member. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. This is not a passive approach. It's odd, it's disruptive, it's disturbing. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's an overall disruption of your own reality, if we do our job. Subject matter, for one thing. Subject matter, sad to say, I think is rather tame anymore because we see the murders and all that stuff on TV, but the idea that not much has changed in that the role of women, which we play up in this play quite a bit in terms of roles, goes against the grain. So subject matter is tough. The approach is extremely difficult. We're very, very blessed to have Tom DeFeo and the tech kids that we have here who can take on a challenge like this. The number of light cues, the syncopation of the sound, and we're having video screens at the same time, along with the choreographed movements and the dialogue, all that takes hours and hours and hours of practice. And a lot of kids this age that I've worked with over the years in various places really aren't up to the task, but the kids here, it's wonderful that they take it and run with it. Instead of being scared, they figure out how to do it, and it's a really cool thing they're doing. Expressionism came as a revolt of things like the Industrial Revolution and things, you know, suddenly the automobile is in infancy, the airplane, the mass production of things, and people were looking at it as all these wonderful things that we'll do, but at the expense of what? And 80-some years later, you know, I talk to my kids all the time, the bell rings and you all immediately whip out your phones. You are a slave to this technology that you think is helping you. We have Facebook that's supposed to connect people, but it actually distances people because you don't have to have this human contact that many playwrights, Sophie Treadwell being a huge one, warn against. That, yeah, it's wonderful if used correctly, but it's actually taking away our humanity, and this young woman in this play is punished for wanting to be human, for not wanting to fit in. So yeah, it's an excuse me, it's an odd style, but it's a style that translates so well. We did The Adding Machine a few years ago, which is another example of expressionism, and that is a man is replaced, literally replaced by a machine. And that was written in 1923 or 5, I believe. So these things that some of these kids see as museum pieces are as timely today as they were when they were written. And that's what Tom and I believe our job is in theater education. You educate these kids that you need to discuss these issues.